From author and veteran Lex R. Brown comes the book Grit, Grind, Grow, a guide to conquering career transition, available on Amazon. Making a transition in life can be overwhelming, but Grit, Grind, Grow is designed to help you approach your career like an entrepreneur so that you are always adaptable and empowered to land bigger and better career offers quickly, frequently, and consistently. Each year, 250,000 members of the armed forces leave the military to reintegrate into the civilian workforce. Grit, Grind, Grow is written by a military veteran who has proven the information in this book firsthand and has empowered numerous others to replicate those successes. This is a must-read for transitioning military veterans, military spouses, those currently unemployed, recent college grads, professionals of color, seasoned professionals over the age of 50, and anyone else searching for solutions and seeking better results. Order your copy right now. Grit, Grind, Grow, a guide to conquering career transition, from author and veteran Lex R. Brown, on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. It's our first post-Thanksgiving podcast. Welcome to the program. And even though it's a holiday weekend of Thanksgiving, America's supposed to come together. You know, Thanksgiving was started by President Lincoln during the Civil War when the country was divided to bring America together. And of course, this very getting together, uniting American holiday, the Democrats use it to tear us apart because that's what they do. Listen to this, okay? This is in Mediaite. Shock poll. Only a third of Republicans thought Arbery killers should be found guilty, while 54% of Republicans were not sure. Now, let me read this story to you, and then I'll tell you why these numbers are what they are. And I'm going to assume, just for the discussion, that this is accurate poll. But I'll explain in a minute.
Okay.
A stunning new poll finds that only a third of Republicans thought the killers of Arbery should be found guilty, while 77% of Democrats said the same. Now, this is the most misleading poll I have ever read in my life, because what they're saying is that 2/3 of Republicans believe that getting together in a lynch mob is okay.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
That's what it implies here.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But I know what this is about, but I just wait. On Wednesday, the nation watched as guilty verdict after guilty verdict was read at the trial of Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Rhodey Bryan for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery last February. The jury took less than a day to return the verdict after asking to see the brutal video. It goes on and on and on. Okay. The Economist YouGov poll taken November 20th through the 23rd, just before the verdict was delivered, a shocking partisan split emerged. Respondents to the poll were asked, do you believe Gregory McMichael, Travis McMichael, and William Bryan should be found guilty of murder? Among Republicans, only 33% said yes, 14% said no, and 54% said these are Republicans were not sure. It was a far wider disparity even than the racial disparity. 3/4 of black respondents said yes, the three men should be found guilty, while a combined 48% of white respondents said the same. Only white women with college degrees held the view by a majority at 61%. The only greater disparity recorded was between Trump voters, 32% of whom said Arbery's killers should be found guilty, and respondents who voted for Joe Biden, 82% said they should be found guilty. Okay, Let me tell you why that number is what it is, and it's not racism, and Republicans and Trump voters do not think that it is okay to get together in a lynching party and do this. The reason this number is what it is, this was taken before the verdict. Republicans were not following this trial. This trial, the Arbery trial, was not really being covered on the conservative news outlets because everything was being consumed with the Rittenhouse trial.
Right.
The Arbery trial was not being covered on the conservative media outlets very much, Newsmax, Fox. And the liberal news outlets were carrying it much, much more. So the Republicans that were polled didn't have enough information to render an opinion. So they just didn't know. That's why they just weren't aware of the case because it wasn't being
possibly.
covered. And for them to publish this slanderous poll over Thanksgiving weekend is pretty disgusting. Shame on them. And today, Kathy and I kept the Fox Nation app. We got the Fox Nation app because of that Tucker Carlson special a few weeks back, Patriot Purge, and we've kept the app. And it's pretty. They got some pretty good stuff on there. Now, most of it is, but they got some good stuff there. And we watched a 3-part documentary
if
today.
You can call it that, more like little vignettes.
Well, what they do on Fox Nation is Fox Nation shows are put together for people with low attention spans.
Right.
So some of the episodes are like 11 minutes, 22 minutes. They don't, so it was a 3-part documentary.
I think the reason they do that is because they probably figure people are used to watching YouTube.
Yeah.
And
they're going for a younger
really
audience.
Popular. No, YouTube's really popular. And most YouTube videos are like 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they figure that's about as much people are going to sit and watch at a time.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So we watched this 3-part documentary on the John Hinckley attempted assassination of President Reagan. And I think all 3 parts together were less than an hour, maybe an hour total. But, just like Patriot Purge was like an hour and it was 3 parts. And it really upset me because, I remember that day, and I know a lot of you do, maybe a lot of you don't. But I remember the whole thing, watching it. It was crazy. And
it was scary.
I think I was in 4th grade when that happened, when Reagan was shot. I'm pretty sure I was in 4th grade.
I was in 5th grade.
Yeah, okay, Kathy's a year older than me.
So I was 10.
And this is what really ticked me off about it. The media and the country and even the Democrats came together in times of crisis.
Yeah.
President Reagan was shot, and it was very scary. And in maybe the first day, people didn't know how it was going to go.
Right.
But after the first day, by the second day, everyone knew Reagan was going to be okay, even though he'd been shot. And it was a time when the country came together, and he addressed the nation in a joint session of Congress after he got back to the White House and everything. And all the Democrats and the media praised him and surrounded him and everything else. And this is what ticked me off about it. President Trump got the COVID last year, and he almost died. I had Mark Meadows on the program a couple weeks back. I talked to him about that. I had Peter Navarro on a couple weeks back too, and I talked to him about that day. And I remember when it came out that President Trump had COVID, and I was really worried. Remember, there were really not treatments then like we have now. It was new. They were experimental.
It was really scary, and we were really worried.
Yeah, and what scared me, I felt the same way as I did on 9/11. What scared me is I don't remember the exact time. It was the early evening. It was like around 6 o'clock in the evening on the East Coast, somewhere around then, because it was getting dark, or was just, and Marine One had landed in front of the White House, and they were going to fly President Trump to Walter Reed. And I thought he was done for. I really did.
Yeah.
I thought that was it. And I know a lot of you thought that too. And I was talking to when I was talking to Mark Meadows and Peter Navarro about this. I mean, we were like we were in tears. And if you remember, I went to the Hall of Presidents to see President Trump in the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah.
The next day, and that video, I made a video of it. It was the morning he was in the hospital. We didn't know how he was going to do. And
I've seen you cry twice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what the first time was.
Yeah.
And this was the second time I've seen.
was
Now, you
scared.
weren't like blubbering, but you had tears in your eyes. You were really. And then when you went to the Hall of Presidents, you were tearing up. So
I saw the Trump robot there.
Two instances where Brian teared up a little bit, and this is one of them. Brian was very, very worried.
In fact, I do have on my YouTube channel, I made a video of this when I went and saw the Trump animatronic robot the day he was in the hospital, the morning that he was flown there. And I was tearing up. I almost didn't put the video on YouTube. I had Kathy watch it, and I said, I don't know if I should put this up on YouTube. I'm crying here and everything else. And I put it up. And if you want to look the video up, it's called I think it's called The Day Trump Made Me Cry, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Put in Brian Craig, Trump Made Me Cry, it'll come up. And it
Disney World.
It was really scary because they didn't drive him to Walter Reed. They flew him there. That's how worried they were. And we spent that weekend watching some of the most appalling, disgusting coverage from the media. They were saying terrible things about him, and they weren't hoping for the best. And I talked to Mark Meadows about this very specifically because I knew he was with President Trump at the time. Ronald Reagan, in this documentary, they pointed some things out about Ronald Reagan, about how he inspired people while he was there, before he was operated on, when he came out of surgery, the day after, and to keep the nation inspired and knowing that he was okay and everything. President Trump did that drive-by in the Beast, the president's limousine. There was thousands and thousands of people were out in front of Walter Reed. President Trump, who had not been recovered yet, he was still sick. He got in. I think it may not have been the Beast. I think it was one of the Secret Service SUVs. But he did that drive-by through the crowd so people could see him and know the president was okay when he had gotten this deadly virus, and then he survived it. And the media hated him for it. They called him a disgusting person. They said disgusting things about him when he did that drive-by, accusing him of risking the lives of the Secret Service and all of this. And when Ronald Reagan was doing things to show that the president was okay and the government was still functioning and everything, they praised him, even though he was a Republican that the media did not like. And it really upset me because they never give President Trump the credit that he deserves, the respect he deserves. They don't even consider him having been a president. No. And this hasn't happened at a major event yet. There's been one or two incidents, but they were about a year ago. When there are events, when the past presidents all attend for different events, I don't even think they're going to invite President Trump.
No.
And no, because
he doesn't go to any events now. I mean, I don't know.
There hasn't been a big thing.
He hasn't been to any of these
yet.
Funerals. He hasn't been to any.
They don't invite him,
right? But I don't think he'd even go, even if he was invited. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I don't think he would even go. But I wonder if deep down it bothers him at all that he's really on the outs. Or do you think he just does not care at all? Or do you think there's a little small part of him that gets really upset that he is like so ostracized by the other president, which I think personally is a very classless thing to do.
Yeah.
He was the president, people. And I think
and he will be again.
I think just out of respect for the office, he should be included, putting their personal feelings aside. But they're not going to do that because they know when he goes there, he steals everybody's thunder and everybody's talking about him, and they don't want him to share that spotlight with them. But I think it's a very classless move for him not to be included in any of these events because he was the president and
he will be
probably going to run again. And I think they just should give the office the respect it deserves. And it shows you how petty they are.
Well, I don't think it upsets him. I
don't think so. Just deep down a little bit.
No, because he's got us, and we despise them. And now, over the weekend here, there's a new variant going on.
Oh, I know. Well, I remember you had said when this first was all happening last year, you said, and this is how viruses are, but you had said there's going to be variant after variant, and this is not going to go away, just like the flu is not going to go away. We've had the flu forever, and I don't think COVID's going to go away. The only thing, hopefully, is by now, people have either had it or have been vaccinated, so a lot of people are more immune, and they are working on new medications, just like with AIDS, which was a virus. They eventually had a lot of new medications that really knocked it out, and people can live with it with HIV for a long time. When HIV first came out, it was killing everybody, like within months. It was very frightening. And now you can live a full life. Look at Magic Johnson. I mean, he's had it for 20 years?
Longer.
And now they're coming out with 30. These new pills. I think they approved it in the UK, and it works like an 85% of the people where it's like it kills the virus.
Well,
so I think if they can come out with more pills like that as quickly as possible, that will help. But yeah, it's never going to end.
As long as Democrats are in power, there's always going to be a new variant. This new thing from South Africa, okay? And Biden has issued a travel ban from 7 African nations. Now, when President Trump did this early on from China, they called him a racist xenophobe.
That's right.
And I don't mean just they. I mean specifically Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi both called him a racist xenophobe, as well as the media for the China ban. And he does it to 7 countries, and it's they praise him. Look at the wise decision making of President Biden, who wisely has taken the and Trump. No matter what Trump does, they're always going to disagree and say it's racist.
It doesn't matter what he does. They're always, because they want to paint him in a certain light. He could breathe and they would tell you
exactly
that his breaths were bigoted. I mean,
that's right.
It doesn't matter what he does. And I think I think the way they reacted when he got COVID, I remember I said to you, there seemed to be a shift in his demeanor with the press.
Yeah.
And they were so nasty. They were like almost wishing he was going to die, pretty much. I think he realized that there wasn't anything he could do to win these people over, and it didn't matter. He could literally cure cancer, which we're still waiting on Joe Biden to do. He could cure cancer, and they would find something wrong with it, like you said, putting oncologists out of work. So I think he realized that at that moment that the press was never going to accept him or say anything good about him. And I think he just got to the point where he just stopped worrying about it and stopped caring about it, because he seemed to be a little different. He didn't seem as combative with the press or as concerned like he was earlier on. Yeah. But it's really a shame, because I know when we watched the thing about Reagan today, I know what you're saying. It's like after 9/11, the country came together. And for those of you who weren't alive then, it really was unique to see, just like during World War II. You see Americans coming together out of tragedy to help each other. And the way the world is today and the way the media divides people so much, or at least gives that image, gives that impression. Yeah. I don't think I don't think the country is nearly as divided as the media wants you to think.
Not at all.
Okay. I mean, Brian and I have never encountered problems. Most people we talk to get along with everybody. There's, they might have a few arguments here and there, but most people get along. The media, if you watch the news, they make you think that everybody's at each other's throats constantly. It's really not like that. Most Americans are nice people and get along. But with Reagan, at least, you're right. In the media, there was a unity with them. Nobody was attacking Reagan. Yeah. Even people that didn't agree with him were wishing him well and saying nice things and this and that. And I don't think that would happen with Trump. I think like when he got COVID, it was like, basically, well, let's hope he drops dead right now. I mean, that's how nasty it was.
They were talking about he was overweight and things.
Yeah, they weren't saying, and people were like on Twitter saying really nasty things. And it used to seem, at least, we didn't have Twitter back in the 80s, so who knows how it would have been with people. But it's a very negative place. And it seems when something tragic happens, people like really relish it if they don't like the person. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't just happen with Trump. People really, if they don't like somebody, they really jump on it and get really nasty and it's upsetting.
Now listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, you're not going to want to miss this next segment. This is really outrageous. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
From author Janie Emus comes the book Lakas for Santa Claus, available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Anna is excited that Santa will be visiting her house for the first time, and she wants to leave Santa a treat that blends the holidays her new family celebrates, Christmas and Hanukkah. She shares this idea with her stepbrother Michael, who insists that Santa doesn't need anything but his sugar cookies. Anna imagines Santa has to be bored with cookies, and now is determined to find a Jewish recipe that he'll enjoy. The catch, it has to be something easy for Santa to grab and go. It can't be matzo ball soup. Soup in a sleigh with galloping reindeer will never do. It can't be noodle kugel. Imagine that by the handful. What a mess. Anna retreats to her thinking corner to figure out the perfect finger food for Santa, not wanting to disappoint him on this very first visit to her house. Order your copy right now on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Latkes for Santa Claus from author Janie Emus. Everyone loves sweatshirts. They're comfy, soft, and cozy. If you're looking for adorable sweats with cute graphics and fun messages, you need to check out Operation Kindness Art on Etsy. That's all one word with a capital O and capital A. They have sweatshirts for dog lovers, bridal parties, and brides, as well as religious-themed sweats, Christmas, and more. The designs are sweet with pastel colors, and the sweatshirts are made of soft fabrics with a classic fit. These sweats are great for yourself or as a gift. They're handmade and unique, and they're perfect to keep you warm in the colder times of year. Promoting kindness through slogan sweats for all sizes. Operation Kindness Art on Etsy.com. That's all one word with a capital O and capital A. Operation Kindness Art on Etsy. From author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs comes your next must-read book, Until Now, available on Amazon. Until Now is a book about the first 25 years of the author's life. It includes childhood trauma, abuse, and the author being forced to hide their true self, being abandoned, and many, many other things. The author's hope is to reach readers that can relate and let them know that they are not alone in their trauma. They are not at fault for the terrible things that's happened to them. They are not victims, but are survivors, and together we can get through anything. Author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs has been writing poetry since childhood, and Until Now includes the author's life story, but also includes related poetry between chapters. Until Now, from author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs. Order your copy right now on Amazon. If you're looking for stunning art to hang in your home, office, or business, you need to visit the Etsy shop Bosphorus Art Design. That's BOSPHORUS Art DSGN. There you will find 100% original watercolor, acrylic, and oil paintings that are ready to hang. You will find stunning landscapes, still lifes, cityscapes, seaside images, quaint European villages, and a whole lot more. And enjoy free shipping worldwide. All the artists are members of the Turkish Painters Association. Everything is high quality and makes great gifts too. Enjoy originals and prints. Visit their shop right now. Bosphorus Art Design. That's BOSPHORUS Art DSGN on Etsy.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. There was an article in The Atlantic, pretty disgusting. Listen to this. The Atlantic gives advice to deprogram your pro-Trump relatives on Thanksgiving.
Oh, my gosh.
And suggest reporting them to the FBI. There was a huge article written about this. And it's pretty troublesome. This is not a parody. This is what they're actually saying you should do in a serious way. Let me read this. There's an article about the article.
Crazy.
In Trending Politics that I'm reading from. The actual article is very long and detailed, so the Trending Politics has a good summary of it. So that's what I'm going to read from. A writer for The Atlantic wrote a piece that gives readers advice on how to deprogram their conservative relatives. Writer Molly Zhang Fast goes on to paint conservative family members as creepy on top of many other horrible things. Towards the end of the article, she even throws out the idea of reporting relatives to the FBI. Some may think it's a joke, but it's something that is actually happening across the United States. And this is from the article. Listen to this.
It is happening. People are reporting their relatives.
Some of these people in the January 6th that were in D.C. that day, yeah. And this is from the article. Listen to this. This is your chance to deprogram them. Facebook knows its algorithm radicalizes users. This is your chance. This is from the Atlantic article. This is your chance to tell your aunt that maybe the news she gets from it, Facebook, isn't all that reliable, and that maybe the MAGA news network is not giving her unbiased news. Zhang Fast rejected the idea that Thanksgiving should be a time of peace and harmony. Instead, she thinks her readers should turn the day into an opportunity to tell their creepy uncle all of these different
She
things.
doesn't sound American.
I don't know.
I don't think Thanksgiving is like a holiday she's used to celebrating.
I don't think she knows what it's about.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think Thanksgiving's a part of her family tradition.
Yeah.
So I don't think she appreciates what it means.
Yeah.
So she's coming from that point of view.
Maybe it won't work. Maybe you'll leave Thanksgiving dinner as divided as you were when you sat down at the table 5 hours and 4,000 calories ago. Or maybe you'll plant the seed. So just a little doubt about whatever Tucker Carlson is saying now. Maybe you'll even change a heart or a mind. Maybe you'll bring the temperature down just a tiny bit. Or maybe you'll need to report a relative to the FBI.
Wow. Well, she sounds like a load of laughs. I mean, isn't that the kind of woman you want at your Thanksgiving celebration?
And
be like, nope, you're not invited. Sorry.
And,
what a lunatic.
I don't want to get into all the details of it, but we had a relative that tried to get a conversation like that going with me at dinner over Thanksgiving. I'm not going to get into all of it, but
the one liberal at the table.
Yeah, one liberal.
I warned you.
Who watches Rachel Maddow every day.
Yeah.
Was trying to, I don't know.
Trying to get Brian going. Well, this person knows what you do for a living, and it's really sometimes hard for Brian to keep his mouth shut, but,
I don't want to.
He didn't want to make a big stink at Thanksgiving in front of everybody.
Dinner, yeah, especially.
He was a little...
But they were trying to deprogram me, I think, is what happened.
Never going to happen.
I guess I should.
You're ensconced.
Well, hey, I did. I wore my Make America Great Again hat to Thanksgiving,
just to irk them.
And not only
you kind of triggered them a little.
Not only that, when we went to Thanksgiving dinner, I wore a Make America Great Again hat, and I had a really cool T-shirt on that Sarah gave me. One of our listeners, Sarah, that is. A Trump shirt that's President Trump in the Beast at the Daytona 500. Remember that?
This is how we dress for Thanksgiving in
so
South Florida.
I guess I
wear T-shirts and shorts and flip-flops.
But
Nobody's dressed up.
This trend, though, in the Atlantic about reporting family members to the FBI, it is not a parody article. They're serious as a heart attack. And here's the thing about all of that. We've seen this go on in the last year since the Capitol breach. They're classifying MAGA people as domestic terrorists, just like the parents at the school boards by the Justice Department. And they have convinced themselves and their followers, and there's a big trend among liberal writers, to say that we are domestic terrorists and
really
militia
believe
members.
it.
And
they
all these
published
things.
that article. They're true believers. Liberals really believe. There's a lot of useful idiots on both sides, but especially on the left. And they really buy what the media is telling them. And they really believe that we have to be But they've been talking about deprogramming us for a while.
Not like this.
They believe we're in a cult. And,
no. They've moved from cult to being involved as criminals.
Yeah.
As domestic terrorists.
Like Cuba.
They've gone from being in a cult to all of us being Tim McVeigh's. That's a big shift. And it's becoming so commonplace among leftists, in particular younger leftists, that they actually they believe it. Now,
their language, the way they're talking, and I personally feel Trump has triggered. I think liberals have always kind of had these underlying feelings, but I really feel Trump brought them all to the surface. Mm-hmm. And I had told you when Trump was president, I said we're eventually going to have to pay for this Trump derangement syndrome. We're going to be punished for electing this guy, and they're not going to let it go.
That's what they're doing now,
and that's what's happening now. And I said that to you. I said you realize that we're going to be punished for this for a long time for just supporting this person in the media and everything. But I really still feel like the left is losing the culture war, and we are in a culture war. I really feel like they're losing one after the other. Mm-hmm. Elections are turning over. They just elected a conservative and like a very liberal seat in Seattle. And this liberal embracement of high crimes and smash and grabs and dirty cities. And, Nancy Pelosi completely destroyed San Francisco, a once great city. Now she's leaving. She's going to leave San Francisco and come to Florida, which is the greatest state in the union, and live under Ron DeSantis. And she's going to leave San Francisco a complete mess. I mean, everything they touch just turns to you-know-what.
Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, guys. It's greatly appreciated, and it does help a lot. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on each and every episode. The names you're about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Nick, Rick, Pamela, Dee, Jacklyn, and Rich. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this episode. You click that link, and it walks you through, and it'll explain everything to you. And you too can, if you would like, become a Patreon supporter of the program. You know, you mentioned Pelosi moving to Florida. Mm-hmm. Nancy Pelosi is not only moving to Florida, she's moving to one of the most conservative parts of Florida. Mm-hmm. She's moving to she bought a mansion on the beach in Jupiter, Florida, and that's where Don Jr. lives. It's probably about a 20-minute drive from Mar-a-Lago.
Very exclusive, very nice part.
Yeah, now Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski also live in Jupiter, but it is a very, very conservative area she's moving to. And if you've seen me go to any of the massive Trump boat parades here in South Florida, they are all in Jupiter.
Why do you think she's moving there? Of all the places in the country, she wants to live on the beach, fine. Even though they say the beach is rising, she's investing.
Well, the seas are rising.
Yeah, seas are rising, I mean. She's still investing in a multi-million-dollar home. Why South Florida? Why there? Of all the places she can, I mean, I know Florida's awesome, but didn't she think that maybe this would be kind of a weird decision to make? I mean, I don't know. Why not move to Nantucket?
Okay, I'll tell you. I know exactly why. I'll tell you. But now,
where there's more liberals.
Well, I'll tell you that in a second. But first, I'll tell you about this thing about the seas rising. Right?
Yeah.
She bought a house that has its own private beach. Her backyard is a private beach.
It's like 50 feet.
She owns beach.
Right.
And the mansion is on the beach. If she thought that the Atlantic Ocean was rising, she would have bought a house a few miles inland because that's where the beach will be in the future.
I would think.
So obviously, this is a big deal about Nancy Pelosi moving to Florida. And I know why she has moved to Florida. Well, she's planning on moving. I know she has multiple houses, and this will be one of many. But I predict this is going to become her primary residence or official residence when she retires from Congress, not San Francisco. And the reason I believe that is because in the state of Florida, we do not have a state income tax.
True.
And
that's why most people move here.
Most of the super rich move to Florida because we don't have a state income tax.
That's a big incentive.
And she's retiring. She's got all of the money that she's made from all of her life of corruption. And some people may say, well, what's wrong with that? Because a lot of people move to Florida because there's no state income tax. Well, the problem with that is she has spent her entire public life raising everybody else's taxes and thinking that we don't pay enough taxes. And in retirement, if she makes that her primary residence, and I suspect she will, it is to avoid paying what she thinks that is unpatriotic not to do as much taxes as you possibly can. I think that's why she's moving to Florida. They have beautiful beach houses in California.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't like her living here. I'm sorry.
She's not going to like it.
Going to be like an hour from our house. And I don't like the idea of her moving to Florida.
Well, if we ever see a broom fly by the moon at night, we'll know she's in town. Well, I'll tell you, though. Okay, now I understand Nancy Pelosi won't be associating here in Florida with the serfs, the regular Floridians like us.
Absolutely not. We're not going to see her at the Boca Mall.
But I will tell you that Florida is not just there are liberal areas in Florida where she is moving is not only one of the most conservative parts of Florida. The people in that part of town are very out and about. You can't. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
You can't go anywhere without seeing Trump flags and Trump bumper stickers on cars. It's very Republican.
Well, it is one of the nicest places in Florida. I will say that, but I guess she doesn't want to move to Miami and be with all the Cubans, and she doesn't want to. Now, I was thinking Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale is very liberal. It's very beautiful. Okay. And there's houses on the beach.
It's also one of the wider parts of the state too.
Jupiter, yeah.
It's one of the, not that that's necessarily.
Except for Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods lives there.
He's probably the only one.
Yeah, but
Jupiter really is beautiful. It's really a great place.
It's a nice area, and I like it. It's what
I would love to live there.
It's nice
really
there.
Nice there.
Don Jr. lives there. It's nice.
They got a lot of good restaurants. If you ever do come to visit Florida, go to Jupiter. You'd like it.
Nice.
It's really nice. It's like old Florida.
It's very nice.
Very, very nice.
But what'll happen with her? She's not going to like it here because she's going to go out to restaurants and think fancy restaurants.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
And everywhere she goes, there's going to be MAGA people there, conservatives there, and nobody likes her. Nobody likes her.
She probably rents out restaurants and goes, like Prince Harry when he met Meghan.
She won't do that for the rest of her
rented out
life.
a restaurant. She has private chefs, and maybe she won't go out a lot around town. And who knows? Maybe she's just going to really retire and just kind of hang out with her family. But I'm sure it's a beautiful home. I'm not happy she's living here because Florida's too good for her.
It might bring down our property values, Kathy. Nancy Pelosi.
Gosh, I'm sure Trump's not happy. How far is she from Mar-a-Lago? Like,
it's about
literally
20 minutes.
30,
20
pretty
minutes.
close.
But it's north of Mar-a-Lago. But
about 20 minutes north.
I don't think, because there are some rich leftists that live there, like Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, but
she'll hang out with them.
I don't think Nancy Pelosi is pretty clueless. I don't think she realizes that she has bought this mansion on the beach.
It's a strange thing for her to do.
In the heart of MAGA country.
It is. It's really...
It doesn't get more MAGA than that area.
I'm really surprised she's moving to Jupiter. I mean, it's beautiful, but I really would think she'd move to Fort Lauderdale or somewhere.
Where there's some Democrats.
Where it's blue.
She is, in fact, people sometimes, listeners will tell me sometimes, I'd like to move to Florida. What part of Florida should I move to? And I tell them first Stewart, which is just a few minutes away from Jupiter.
Stewart's really nice.
But Stewart and Jupiter, and the reason I tell them that, they're nice areas, but they're the most MAGA communities you will ever. And I don't think Nancy Pelosi realizes
my dad lives in Stewart.
She is moving to the most MAGA. I think the area she's moving to may be the strongest, largest number of MAGA people per capita than anywhere else on the earth.
Well, I don't know.
Surprise, Nancy.
The Pensacola is pretty.
You know what'll happen?
Too.
You know what'll happen? There's so many MAGA people there. What'll happen is there's already MAGA flags all over the place there.
Yeah.
But after she moves in, people are going to know, she's around.
They're not going to like her being there.
There's going to be more MAGA flags, and people are going to put MAGA flags up just so Nancy has to see them.
It's strange that she chose out of all the places in the country she chose Jupiter.
Not smart.
Strange to me.
Not smart, but I'm happy she did it. Now, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Planners are more popular than ever. If you love planners and enjoy scheduling your daily life, there's an Etsy shop that carry all kinds of planner stickers and pages that you will love. It's called DigiPlanners Design on Etsy. It's all one word on Etsy.com. They offer digital budget sheets, money challenge sheets, holiday stickers, grade tracker pages, password keeper pages, and much, much more. These are all digital and very easy to download from your computer, print, and incorporate into your planner. Right now, enjoy their Black Friday and Cyber Week sale at DigiPlanners Design on Etsy or DigiPlannersDesigns.com. That's DIGI PlannersDesigns.com. This is a store-wide sale on Christmas gifts, Christmas label stickers, planners, and more. Early sales and discounts from 25% off all the way up to 60%. And get your holiday gifts, Christmas gifts, and more at DigiPlanners Design on Etsy or DigiPlannersDesigns.com. From author Roger Schaefer comes the book COVID-26 Zombie, available on Amazon. This book was actually completed in late 2019, prior to a lot of the events that are occurring right now in today's world. This must-read book was intended to show how the 1% are in total control, and the 1% wanted everything, but at a cost that was never imagined. Yet, this book imagined it all. That dream of the perfect world, according to the 1%, a world which only the 1% matter. As for the remaining humans, they would have no rights or freedom, living in dystopia and under the complete control of the 1%. That didn't happen. Instead, mankind has created not one, but two new species that are Z and zombies. Z to a zombie is similar to a relationship of a dog to a human, since fear has been used to control humans since the beginning of time. Fear is the second most powerful tool to use against people. The only thing more powerful than fear is hope. Hope is the one and only thing more powerful than fear. COVID-26 Zombie from author Roger Schaefer is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Order your copy right now. Give gift giving is a nice way to show how much you care. But what's even better are gifts that are personalized. At zippycustom.com, customize your products the way you want. They have t-shirts, hoodies, phone cases, caps, mouse pads, backpacks, items for the home, and so much more. You can customize everything using your own photographs, text, colors, frames, effects, and that's just some of the custom options. Personalization is what makes their items truly unique, whether you're shopping for yourself or someone you care about, or maybe your employees. ZippyCustom.com has an amazing selection that you will love, and your satisfaction is their top priority. Everything at ZippyCustom.com is of the highest quality at the best prices. Right now, they're offering 50% off your first order, and free shipping is available. That's right, free shipping. ZippyCustom.com. It's time to customize your products. ZippyCustom.com. Imagine if you could combine your love of crypto with just about any vanity or lifestyle theme. Well, now you can at StellarShop.org. Stellar Shop brings themes to life in cryptocurrency and is the originator of vanity and lifestyle money in the new and exciting world of cryptocurrency. Align your money with causes you care about, like dolphins and sea turtles or anything in between. From Woodstock to medbeds, they have over 100 to choose from, so you can buy, sell, trade, or swap crypto on the Stellar XLM network. Stellar Shop also has over 20 charity themes that benefit from your usage. Grab your favorite Stellar wallet and join the revolution and the future of money through blockchain quantum finance. Stellar Shop also sets up custom-made business crypto and payment systems for any business. Get in on the crypto craze, and maybe you can be the one telling that next crazy crypto story. Visit StellarShop.org today for vanity and lifestyle crypto assets. That's StellarShop.org.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. And man, I tell you, holiday time is not a slow time in the news anymore. It used to be, it was. Not anymore. There's all kinds of craziness going on. You know, I want to talk about a story here in the New York Post. You sent this to me, Kathy. And it's an update with some major additions to a story from long ago that the mainstream media sat on and covered up, and it involves Hunter Biden. And, you know, if one of the Trump children did one of the dozens of things, many dozens of things we've heard from Hunter Biden, it would be over. But this is in the New York Post Sunday edition. Here's the headline. More money than God, Chinese titan lavished Hunter Biden with 3-carat gem and an offer of $30 million. That's on top of the gem. The Biden family, listen to this. This is the New York Post.
This is incredible.
New York Post is
front page.
Fox News is the same company. So the Biden family offered their services to a huge Chinese government-linked energy consortium. Just be a consortium sounds crooked, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. They offered their services to a Chinese, what is that? To expand its businesses around the world. How do we know? Because hundreds of emails documenting the deal found on Hunter Biden's laptop left in a Delaware repair shop in April 2019. In her new book, Laptop from Hell, New York Post columnist Miranda Devine.
Yes, we have this
spectacular.
Book. We have this book on order through Amazon. It's going to get sent as soon as it goes through soon. It's going to be available soon.
That's awesome.
Definitely recommend.
About to read that one. I like Miranda Devine. She's very good.
Awesome. She's on Fox all the time. She's fantastic.
Yeah, and she's an old-fashioned reporter that actually investigates and reports the news, as opposed to sitting around talking about a headline like they do on Fox.
She's British.
All day. James Giller, a wiry 56-year-old British ex-SAS officer. The SAS is kind of like their Green Berets, Delta Force.
Oh, okay.
It's, got to know Yi Jiming, a 40-year-old chairman of CEFC, when they were both working in the Czech Republic. It's a Chinese conglomerate, CEFC, one of the largest energy companies in the world. Yi's task was to spend $1.5 billion as quickly as possible to ensure the Czech Republic would become China's gateway to the European Union, which is a priority of President Xi. To that end, Yi bought everything from a football team and a brewery to an airline before being named special economic advisor to Czech President Milos Zeman. So apparently the Czech Republic, their president's like our president, for sale, right, on the take. Now he was looking for an influential partner to help with acquisitions in other locations around the world that had strategic significance for the Chinese state. Giller had an idea who could help. The Biden family.
Of course. I'm sure it was the first name that popped in his head.
Well, everybody knows they're corrupt, so
yes, exactly.
And can be bought and have been bought many times over. Giller connected with Hunter Biden through trusted Biden family friend Rob Walker, a former Clinton administration official whose wife, Betsy Massey Walker, had been Jill Biden's assistant when she was second lady.
It's so incestuous.
They're all corrupt. Even their assistants are corrupt, right?
That's true. Their kids, the assist, exactly.
Yeah, it's a crime family. I mean, this is
incredible.
Giller emailed Walker in February 2015 to praise Hunter's appearance in Beijing at a board meeting of the investment fund Hunter had founded with John Kerry's son. Yeah, John Kerry's son. They got that corrupt. Remember that huge deal they did. Hunter was great, Giller wrote to Walker, the true chic of Washington.
The Sheik of Washington?
Yeah.
What does that mean? He has a harem like a sheik, I guess? Is that what he means?
Well, all those prostitutes we see him with.
I think that's what he means, seriously.
I think he's like a super rich guy with a lot of power and influence that walks through town like he owns the joint.
Yeah, I guess
He emailed Hunter a few weeks later.
I like my version better.
It has been made clear to me that CEFC wished to engage in further business relations with our group. Giller knew CEFC was the capitalist arm of President Xi's Belt and Road Initiative to spread China's influence and debt traps across the world. No Chinese company executed its goals more ardently than CEFC and its young chairman, who was dubbed the Belt and Road billionaire in the press. Chairman Yi had built his provincial energy company, and it goes on and on. Let me get down to the stuff with Hunter. This goes on. This is like pages and pages and pages. The Biden family, Giller would soon disclose, Joe, who had announced, goes on. And I'm not going to read through all the details, but the details.
She wrote her book, right? It's coming out soon, but this is all new, updated, discovered emails. So what do you do in that instance? Do you amend your book? Do you hold off and say, because I'm sure they've already printed copies.
That's what second editions are for. Here's the thing, and I know what a lot of you are saying, and this bugs the daylights out of me. A lot of people, we already knew this. That people are saying that right now. The Bidens are corrupt. We already know. No. There's a lot of new information, and we knew about the gym, not the 30 mil, but we have a lot of suspicions and a lot of rumors about these things. Yeah. What Miranda Devine is doing here is sharing a lot of documented evidence to prove the suspicions we've had. It's like when you go to court, you've got to have evidence to convict someone. So this is proof of things that we've suspected based on some reporting about the Bidens in the past. So this is new stuff, and don't trivialize and say, everybody already knows.
Right.
Everybody knows that OJ killed Ron and Nicole. But if we found a videotape of it today, oh man, that'd be big news. You know what I mean?
Email or of him.
Well, he did write that book. Yeah, I did. If I did,
true.
Or he did it. But you get my drift.
Well, it's interesting because the Bidens do everything that they accuse the Trump family of doing. And look at all the things they accused Trump of with Russia, colluding with Russia. It was all a distraction. Everything with the liberals and politicians is smoke and mirrors, and trying to distract you from one thing while you don't see what they're really up to. Yeah. And it's amazing because this is a very corrupt family. They're selling our country. I'm not trying to trivialize it. I'm sure this happens all the time. I'm sure it's happened for hundreds of years, and politicians in positions of power sell favors. This is nothing new. But this to me seems like at an astronomical level. And, my cousin went to China about 5 years ago, and she was on a tour group, and she said back then the tour guide told them that China's goal is to take over the entire world.
Yeah.
They don't care how long it takes, but that's what they want to do. She said that's why they buy all this stuff, like this article, buying football teams, buying buildings, buying land. Over time, they already own the Bidens. They already own, half
the Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic. They're trying to get in with the EU. They're trying to get in here. They're infiltrating things. And I know that a lot of politicians on the left, especially, are making policy decisions like all this global warming. Global warming is a ruse because they can't come out and tell you, well, China paid me $10 million to my son or $30 million, so I'm going to pass this policy that's going to help China. They can't come out and say that. So they have an excuse. No, we have to save the planet. Global warming is real, this and that. So because of that, we're going to cut back on gas. We're going to make you buy an electric car. We're going to do this and that. They're really doing it because that's what China's telling them to do and paying them to do.
And their government, see, in America,
it's really
our corrupt government, mostly the Democrats, they have all these welfare programs and they send money back to their donors through government bills and all that. In China, instead of paying off donors and buying off people with welfare and other government assistance, what China does with their money, when they're not building up their military with technology that Americans have sold to them, like the Clintons, they use their money to buy influence of world leaders around the world, and that's what they're doing here.
And the World Health Organization.
Yeah, Roger Daltrey and the rest. The
World Health Organization is
we found out from them that they were So that's what China does, and the reality of the situation is that the Democrat Party, I know there's a lot of creeps in the Republican Party too, but the Democrat Party are 100% corrupt. They're corrupt from the top down. They're all on the take, and all they care about is getting rich and making their families rich. And what they do is they sell the only thing they have to sell. That's America. They sell America to donors, to China, to Russia, whoever else. And then when you have an honest man like President Trump who stands up for America and is a billionaire many times over and doesn't have to take bribes, like these Democrats do to get rich, they got to bring him down.
Well, it used to be that I think politicians would sell favors and they kind of kept it in America. They would sell favors and do things for donors and things like that in companies, big pharma, all this stuff. But now it seems that they've gone global, and I think that's why they're pushing a lot of globalism.
That's right.
And they're literally selling out America to another country. To me, that seems like a problem. It seems like something that's definitely illegal. But you're never going to see people in the press because all they do is talk about Trump, Eric Trump, Don Jr., and this and that, because they don't want to report. They have a lot of time to fill. They do not want to report on what's really happening, and they don't want you to know what's really happening. So they distract you with these BS stories, and they accuse the Trumps of everything they're doing. I mean, that is a classic technique. Look at Eric Swalwell. He was one of the biggest attackers of Trump. Meanwhile, the guy was sleeping with a Chinese spy and doing all these other things, and God knows what else. Dianne Feinstein with her driver, who was a Chinese spy. And they distract you from what's really going on so you don't look at what they're doing.
Yeah. Now, over the weekend, Kathy and I, for the first time, slept on our new MyPillow 100% Giza cotton flannel sheets. We've had the MyPillow Giza cotton sheets for quite a while. They're spectacular. And over the weekend, we slept on our 100% Giza cotton MyPillow flannel sheets. And I got to tell you this. The regular MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets are perfect, but the flannel MyPillow sheets are like beyond perfection.
I know. They're so soft. Flannel can be scratchy.
When I got in bed and laid down on those sheets,
they're really nice.
They're the most comfortable, soft sheet I have ever slept on in my life. And
you will feel really cozy. I felt really...
Oh, man.
It was chilly here last night. It was in the 50s. It was chilly this morning.
That's chilly for us in Florida.
Yeah, that's chilly for Florida. So if you live up north or even in Florida, I'm telling you, I've had flannel sheets before, and these fit over the mattress topper and everything. They have deep pockets on the side. They fit perfectly. They are the softest flannel sheets you will ever
perfection.
have. They're really nice.
Now, with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, at mypillow.com, when you buy one set of the MyPillow sheets, you get a second set free. Buy one set, get a second set free. You can mix and match different colors, one regular, one flannel, solid, stripes, whatever you want to do. Buy one set, get a second set free with the promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at mypillow.com. These make great Christmas gifts. Get one for yourself, give the other one away. You can even get the other one in a different size. You can get one king and one twin or whatever combination you want. So go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, buy one set, get a second set free. Okay, now this headline, Kathy, I got to read to you here. I've read this several times and I don't really understand. I don't understand. This is the most confusing world we're in. Listen to this. Transgender man, 39, and his non-binary partner welcome a baby, thanks to a sperm donor who is also transgender.
Oh my God,
and
the world is so messed up.
Listen to this. Thanks to a sperm donor who is also transgender.
Wow.
And so was the doctor. So the doctor was transgender.
Oh my God.
This is in the Daily Mail.
I am so glad I'm not a kid right now. It's got to be so confusing.
Can you make sense of that? Okay,
No.
so we got, so let me just go through this.
Is Caitlyn Jenner involved at all?
So a transgender man, that's the first one. So that's a man who was born as a woman.
No.
A transgender man.
No, I think it's a man becoming a woman, right?
No, it's someone born as a woman.
Okay.
Who has become? Now, you guys, let us know in the comments.
So confusing.
Okay, the transgender man is someone who was born a woman and who has become a man. The non-binary partner, that could be anything.
So if she was born a woman and became a man, if she still has her lady part, she can technically have a baby.
Transgender man, 39, and his non-binary partner welcome a baby. So the non-binary partner, we don't know what
is. I don't even know what non-binary
They could be born
means.
any gender, so we don't know.
This is just absurd.
So we don't know.
Are eunuchs still around?
The sperm donor was transgender, so the sperm donor was born a man and lives as a woman, but still has
a penis, obviously. Yes. That's okay.
And the doctor is transgender as well, so we don't know what the genders are of the doctor other than transgender.
It's so funny because you and I watched Dress to Kill last night.
Yeah, no, this is,
just kind of
Dress to Kill and Psycho could not be made today. They would be transphobic.
Or Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. All right, listen. Make sense of that. Let us know in the comments if you can translate that headline. I'm not going to read the story because I'm afraid it'll give me a migraine headache. And while you're trying to figure that out and leaving us comments, we'll take a quick break and be right back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
The world is an uncertain place, and we need to be prepared to handle any situation and be as self-sufficient as possible. The book, Practical Survival Skills, First Aid, and Natural Medicines in a Survival Situation, from author J.P. Logan, available on Amazon, will teach you how to take care of yourself and your loved ones when disaster strikes with important and essential survival skills. Any survivalist knows that the best medicine for any type of injury is preparedness. This must-read book gives you the necessary knowledge to keep yourself and those around you healthy and alive, and is an essential handbook to protect you, your family, and others when help is not available right away or at all. You will learn practical first aid, as well as illustrated steps to assess injuries while using resources in the wilderness to help you. It also includes a comprehensive list of medicinal plants for any survival situation. If you're no longer willing to gamble with your well-being and the safety of your loved ones, this is a book for you. Practical Survival Skills, First Aid, and Natural Medicines in a Survival Situation, from author J.P. Logan. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Have you wanted to get involved in investing but didn't know how or even where to begin? Then visit ExoticExpansion.com. ExoticExpansion.com offer financial education and tools to help users just like you grow financially. And don't worry if you're busy at work. They will send you stock signals through text and Discord, so you just follow their calls on when to buy and sell. It's that easy. They offer monthly and yearly membership levels to fit your budget. Membership includes one-on-one coaching, full-time advice, and stock calls. There's a members area where you can view their weekly picks, have access to their top 20 verified stock picks that always are updating, as well as a net worth tracker, and there's a lot more too. ExoticExpansion.com's goal is to provide you with the education that will enable you to achieve your financial goals. ExoticExpansion.com also have an app that's available in the Android store. ExoticExpansion expansion.com. Crypto, stocks, Discord, tech signals, long and short-term trading, value investing, options, and financial education. It's all at exoticexpansion.com. How do you really see yourself? Are you living authentically? The book from author Lisa Deanna, A World Sold on Image, available on Amazon and most online booksellers, is a powerful guide for those who are ready and willing to stop living in a false definition of beauty and start living in truth. Most of what we have been taught about beauty was rooted in childhood and is wrong. In this inspiring guide to beauty, author Lisa Deanna makes a solid case for what real beauty is. She takes out the cliche, beauty is on the inside, and proves no one lacks beauty. We only lack the ability to see who we are authentically. Whether we realize it or not, most of us strive to be an image of what society deems as beautiful, and imitation is becoming our full-time job. While the author supports the importance of image, she knows from working in one of the most image-driven fields, cosmetics, that a flawless image is not enough to be beautiful, and reveals the powerful steps to live a life compromised of beauty. Order your copy right now. A World Sold on Image from author Lisa Deanna, available on Amazon and most online retailers. There's a podcast that you will want to add to your playlist, Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Warriors for Christ is a Christian podcast providing biblical teaching without the doctrines of man. In other words, they like to let the Bible explain itself. The format includes non-denominational readings and teachings from the Bible. They also have interviews and whatever the Lord puts on their hearts to present. Life in this world can be very stressful and filled with anxieties. Warriors for Christ will give you the biblical information you need to help deal with all life has to bring. Warriors for Christ confronts many false doctrines which are pervasive in this age and what some call the church in a box. And they also offer a full gospel ministry. Find Warriors for Christ on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify. Warriors for Christ. Share the podcast on all of your social media so your friends can listen to Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Add it to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You had a story, Kathy, you were telling me about during the break.
It seems Canada has their own Elizabeth Warren. I'm trying to get the article to come up here, but I'm having issues with my internet. Canada's Indigenous health expert, Carrie Barassa, loses her job when they found out that she was not Indigenous. Now, there they call it the First Nation.
And they call Indians the First Nation.
In Canada. And she is Canada's Indigenous health expert. They even have a picture of her wearing like Indigenous garb. She looks honestly like she could have some Native American in her. But her colleagues were suspicious. And they actually did a little digging and looked into her background and discovered she's a complete fraud.
Well, was she born in Canada? If so, she's indigenous to Canada.
Well,
like we're indigenous to the United States.
The internet thing just went out, so I can't get the article up here. But no, she's I'm sure she's Canadian, but she's not part of the First Nation. She's not, indigenous means like, a Native American.
So she's doing what Elizabeth Warren is doing.
Yeah, another one who fraudulently made up her background, and I wonder what tipped them off. I wonder because she kind of looks like she's kind of dark skinned and has like dark hair. So she kind of you can look at her and think, she could be 15% or whatever. But I wonder what tipped off her colleagues that made them actually take the effort to look into her background and discover. So she got fired over that, but that's just interesting. I don't know what these people are thinking when they fake their background for a job. It's just strange.
The thing with Elizabeth Warren is very racist. She pretended to be, and still does, Native American. She took someone's job at the university over this. And in fact, a few years back, I interviewed on this program the chief genealogist for the Cherokee Nation, who did extensive research in the Elizabeth Warren, all sides of her family. There's no Native American connection. And what I told the genealogist that they should do, and this will sound like a joke, but I'm serious, is send people into Elizabeth Warren events, and when she's done speaking at a podium, go and take her water glass and do a DNA test and settle the whole thing. do a whole thing with hire Mark Furman, somebody that knows how to do chain of custody with evidence.
Yeah.
And you would find out that she is 0% Native American, but no one's taken me up on that. Now, I wanted to mention.
Oh, I thought she did do her DNA.
Oh, no.
She came out and she was 1,024.
I don't even believe that.
No, she did it.
Yeah, but I don't believe
she
has. I don't believe she has any Native American DNA.
She has as much as probably an average person, but
less than average. It was very tiny.
As white as you cut.
It was very tiny. She's a complete fraud. That's why Trump calls her Pocahontas. Now, Lauren Boebert made a tragic mistake over the weekend, and I did a live stream on YouTube on Saturday about this, and I said that we may be witnessing the end of Lauren Boebert's political career because she did something very, 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 very stupid. Okay, she made a funny joke about Ilhan Omar. Okay, I'm not going to share the joke. You guys can look it up online. But she made a very funny joke about getting into an elevator with Ilhan Omar at an event recently. And there was some undercover Democrats there recording everything and put it online.
You got to assume you're always being recorded.
Exactly. And
if you're a public figure.
And they made it public on social media. So Ilhan Omar, she got all excited and came out and complained and blah, blah, blah. And what Lauren Boebert did that was stupid was not tell the joke. It was quite funny. Lauren Boebert came out and apologized.
Big mistake.
And this is, and I give her a pass on this because she's new to public life. But when you apologize to the left, they're not decent people. When you apologize to liberals, what they do is they take that as a confession that you are what they're accusing you of, and they want more. And she also made a joke, which was even funnier, about Mayor Pete with paternity leave. And as soon as she apologized for the Ilhan Omar joke, which was very, very funny, they start circulating the clip of her making the joke about Mayor Pete, and now now the LGBTs are demanding an apology. And
she's going down this very slippery slope.
They're talking about censuring her now in Congress, even though she apologized for the Ilhan Omar comment. And once they have you on the ropes and they know that you're weak, when you show a sign of weakness, which is the apology like that, they will never let up. So from this point forward, Lauren Boebert is going to be followed around because she has confessed that she's an Islamophobe by apologizing for the joke, which is absurd. It was not Islamophobic. And apologizing to it is not an admission that she is Islamophobic. It's, a lot of conservatives, and I've had this happen to me. You say something, you do something, you hurt someone's feelings, you didn't do anything wrong, but you'll apologize to try to make the person feel better because conservatives are decent people. You can't do that with liberals, okay? You can't do that with liberals.
An apology means nothing to these people.
It means a lot. It means you have confessed, you are what they're accusing you of.
It doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean.
And now they want you to be a party to your own canceling of from society.
I mean, if you apologize, it doesn't rectify matters to them.
Makes it much worse.
It makes it worse. They don't absolve you from, guilt.
No.
Which is what an apology is supposed to do. It has a different context for them. An apology is an admission of guilt, and it's also a license for them to destroy your life.
Exactly right.
So you're right. It was a big mistake. And I think a lot of times the politicians that are not well seasoned, that are a little inexperienced.
Yeah, they run into this kind
of a trap. And she should have said it was a private joke. I didn't know it was being recorded, but whatever. I'm not going to apologize. That would, I wonder how her voters feel about her apologizing, because a lot of people, that doesn't sit well with them either.
No, you can't apologize
when you give in
to
to the left, a lot of people don't like that.
No,
but,
no, you cannot apologize to these people. It's unfortunate because, it's a natural thing if you hurt someone's feelings to want to make them feel better and apologize. But you can't do that with these people. And they're from now on, everywhere she goes, everything she says and does is going to be recorded. It's going to be tweeted. And then they're going to make demands upon Boebert.
You have to assume
that's a big problem.
That if you're a public figure, that you are being recorded.
Oh yes,
all the time when you're outside of your home
I'm not Lauren Boebert, but anything I say on the air at all, I assume everyone is going to hear it, because if you say something, you better be prepared to stand up for yourself because
this was
these
just
liberals
in an
are going to.
elevator.
It was a joke she made
know.
about getting into an elevator.
I mean, when you're
And
on
it was
the
very
air
funny.
on TV, it's one thing, but this is like
She was in front of a
yeah.
crowd at an event and was doing a little. It wasn't a speech. It was like a little joke. She was doing like a little comedy routine to the people that came out to meet her. It was very, very funny. And the joke about Mayor Pete was very, very good.
Well, he's pretty easy to pick on.
Yeah, this was a very clever joke, though. Very clever joke. You guys can look it up online and hear it yourself. Now, I was shocked to find something over the weekend on my YouTube recommendations. YouTube's amazing. They recommend things to you you would never find on your own, but they know that you would have an interest in. You know, that algorithm thing they do on the internet. And they recommended to me a video about changes in immigration law in Mexico. And I watched too many videos about this, but there's a lot of Americans. There's two groups of Americans in Mexico other than tourists. A lot of Americans retire to Mexico because it's so much cheaper to live in Mexico. And there's also a young group of millennials who are like social media influencers and YouTubers who move to Mexico and have like YouTube channels about living in Mexico and how cheap it is and everything else. And the people retiring to Mexico has been going on for decades. I've heard about people doing this for decades and decades, and it's becoming more and more popular. Because I guess because you're not so, in this day and age with the internet and social media and everything, if you move to Mexico, you're not cut off like you used to be like 30 or 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. And what Americans typically have done is they get tourist visas that are good for 180 days. And this has been going on for like 30 years in Mexico, 20 years. And Mexico is starting to crack down on this. And they're no longer giving people 180-day long tourist visas. And Americans are being stopped in the street by local police, not just immigration officers, but local police, and asked for their immigration documents. And if they can't have photocopies, they've got to have the original documents. And if they do not have them, they are detained. And many people, their visas expire, so they come back to America, and then they go back to get a new one, and then they're not being allowed back in when they return to Mexico. And it's Mexico. It's their country. They can do this if they like. However, we have a completely open border immigration policy from Mexico into the United States at the southern border. And I had to find this out through vloggers on YouTube that this was going on. I have not seen one single story talking about the immigration crackdown on U.S. citizens in Mexico. And, the U.S. citizens in Mexico, they're not taking jobs down there. They're living off their own money and just spending money or making money online or something like this. So they're not taking any jobs away from Mexicans. If anything, they're creating jobs. I wonder why they're doing
it, because if anything, they're putting money into that economy.
I couldn't figure out why
Americans
they're
usually
doing
spend money. And if you go down there and you have Social Security, say you get $3,000 a month between the two of you, you could live very well in South America and eat out all the time.
Well, a lot of people do
money,
that.
And I would think that'd be good for them.
A lot of people do that. It's not for me, strange. But a lot of people do that. And the fact
it's the opposite when people come here, a lot of people they end up taking money and living off the government
and sending their kids to school and everything else. These aren't people that have kids in school or anything. But you cannot be at this moment in time, and this has been going on for a couple of months, and the crackdowns have been getting worse in the last couple of weeks. It's all over YouTube. You can look this up on YouTube. I've not seen one news story, an online website or Fox or even Newsmax. They may not be aware, but you cannot be an undocumented American in Mexico right now, and they are stopping and detaining Americans in the streets throughout the whole country, and no one's covering this story. And I find it not just hypocritical, but I find it interesting that why. And like you say, Kathy, I don't know why Mexico is doing this. And I, you know how the YouTube thing works. You watch one video and then they recommend it.
Yeah.
I watched. There's a retired couple. They're in their mid late 60s. They're retired in Ecuador. And they did a whole video on how many Americans have been retired in Mexico who have now moved to Ecuador because Ecuador is friendly to this, and how because you cannot get documents to live in Mexico and you can't be an undocumented American in Mexico, that Americans are fleeing even further south into Ecuador. And it's really an amazing story. The media are all plagiarizers now. They have one headline, no research into the story, and then they all just keep repeating the same headline.
I noticed that too. They all repeat the same headline. Not only the same headline, they repeat sometimes word for word the story, or they'll take a paragraph. No, that's what they do. Nobody writes their own original content. I mean, obviously one person does at some point, but everybody just takes the same article and rewrites it, or puts it in a blog or on another news thing. So yeah,
it's very strange what goes on in the media today. We were talking about the Miranda Devine story earlier. It's so unusual to have a Miranda Devine reporter who does research and interviews people and things like this, as opposed to everything now is just complete editorializing on everything. But I find it very interesting that Mexico is cracking down on American immigration.
News. That's how it is on the TV news. There's no investigative reports. There's no actual journalism or reporting going on.
Yeah.
They just keep talking about the same thing, whatever is hot in the news, and they just regurgitate it over and over and over again until the next big thing comes along, and they'll talk. I mean, something big will happen, and they'll talk about it on the news all day, all night for a week straight. That's not news. And then they ignore everything else going on in the world.
Yeah.
And then the next big thing happens, and they'll talk about that and have endless panels and endless discussions. And, I love when you watch the news, they throw out a headline and they'll say, let's bring in our panel to discuss it. And they discuss it for the entire hour. That's not news. That's not even close to news.
Exactly.
That's a talk show.
Well,
which is what we're doing.
If you have any idea as to why Mexico is cracking down on Americans with tourist visas in Mexico, and I'd like to know why, because I cannot find the exact reason as to why they're doing this. Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much. And it does help us out a lot, and your support mean a lot to us as well. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode, and there are great perks to becoming a Patreon supporter. They are listed on our Patreon page. And one of those perks is for our top Patreon supporters who get a live on-air thank you on each and every episode of the podcast. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Nick, Rick, Pamela, Dee, Rich, and Jacklyn. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. Well, we're all out of time, but we'll be back next time, guys. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.